Try HelloFresh UK to get 60% off your first box, 25% off for 2 months, and to of course help support this channel. Link is down in the description. Thank you for your support. Well, with remarkable history made at Southend United and on this channel, quite frankly, we have got to start preparing for what should be the biggest step up. We know how competitive the championship is. We know the big step up in finances to follow. So let's get through our last game where we'll decide a relegation spot in League One and then plan for a very big summer transfer window. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 32 of Saving Southend with me, Daniel. We are back today to play our final game in League One against 20th place Port Vale, managed by Nathan Jones. You remember they beat us late in the previous season after we wrapped up promotion to cost us a title, and we now can relegate them to League 2, providing we beat them and Sheffield Wednesday get a result. If not, it could be a very tough time for the blue side of Sheffield as they may be down to League 2. So if you're looking forward to seeing how we finish their seasons, and more importantly, how we plan ahead for the summer as we prepare for Championship football after 3 successive promotions, then please do put a thumbs up on it. We have risen at a rate of knots we are not used to seeing on this channel, and maybe it will ask the question if FM24 is too easy, but I guess the answer will come next season as we move up to the second tier of English football. We're going to try, as always, to be sustainable financially, to focus on the right things as we move into a new stadium. We try to improve the facilities yet further and expand our coaching and staffing teams rather than just our playing squad. But before we go and worry about all of that and our summer plans, let's go and have a look at the schedule for the one game we played off camera where we beat Wycombe by 2-1. We came back from behind thanks to Fernandez and Dans, and you can see we made a couple of changes, the likes of Sean Rose coming into midfield and Cornick and Matheson both got a game off the bench. But for the final game of the season, we play Port Vale, and today we've got a chance to decide who gets relegated. We can't win the title, we're in second place, it's not going to make any difference, but we have got a chance to enjoy this occasion. Roots Hall is about 100 seats off sold out. We're deciding a game for another team that are coming to visit us, and they've got a few decent players there as well, in fairness. So let's go and see the 11 we've put out. The assistant is recommending a lot more changes, but I'm not going to do that. What I have done though is brought in a few players just in case they leave to make sure they get the send-off they deserve. Sean Rose comes in as a young player in midfield who of course we want to try and get football and experience to. The rest of the team pretty much picks itself. I would have dropped Dan's out because he's struggling physically, but Cornick's the only option who can play up front off the bench. So this is the team we've gone for in full. Matheson comes back in from midweek. Will Ferry does the same. There's a heavy match load, but there's a few months off after, isn't there? So I don't think we have to be too worried about the physical implications. Of course, we've got to bear in mind that Baggott may be leaving as well. I doubt Tomlinson will be here next year. So there are a few fair goodbyes that have got to be said. But our 11 for today is Daniel Rose in goal, Matheson and Parks the fullbacks with Parker and Kwanzaa as centre half. I get the feeling our survival chances next year will hinge on whether any of those two stay. Hilton and Ferry the wingers with Rose and Morehouse in the middle. And then Danz and Fernandez, the two up front, we're forming a pretty decent partnership now. Let's go and get through to the final game of the season. Nathan Jones yapping in the other dugout trying to save Port Vale. But will he be able to do it? Well, he's going to have an incredible day here, because if he keeps them up and sends Sheffield Wednesday to League 2, that'll be some story for this save. Let's go and have a look at how the first half goes. The Wycombe game wasn't that flowing. Of course, Rose is a bit weaker in midfield, so we've not got that same dominance and cover of a game, but that ball in is pretty good. And we've scored already. Parks puts the cross in to Jaden Dans, is a good header, but the goalkeeping wasn't great, and it's a comfortable start. And a 1-0 lead is only a good thing, as here come Port Vale at the other end. Daniel Rose showing what Vitek should have done and shows the difference. Why we paid basically our only transfer fees for him and Jaden Dans is that quality at both ends of the pitch that can't be replaced. And Daniel Rose, I know it looked a lot of money in League 2, but it is a big signing and it has worked out that way. And I'd argue it's been the difference between staying in League 2 and 2 promotions, as Fernandez gets in, and that signing is some deal from our director of football in January. We were really worried when John Still retired. We thought, are we going to get a director of football that can find gems? Well, not only are we finding them now, we're getting them from Portuguese academies thanks to Vasco Oliveira. What a man. As Dans gets the ball wide to Hilton. Poor first touch is nicked by Grant, but this is now turning into a party on the final day. Pretty sure most of those Southend fans will be out of their seats, as it's a long ball forward which Parker deals with. Ferry away. Well nicked by Sean Rose, but he can't keep possession. Regan Booty in the middle, back to Smith. We'll have to see how Sheffield Wednesday are doing. The Port Vale need to panic. Bernard comes down the right, gets it to Makuota. Good ball into Emerson. He's offside. I thought it initially, but it was close, and we got a bit of a warning sign there. It's still 2-0, but it's a dominant display. Where are Wednesday? I can't see them there. They're away at Wigan. They're 0-0. At the moment, Port Vale are going down on goal difference. This could be a very, very tense finish for them. But for us, with half an hour gone, a very comfortable performance. Birmingham are winning again, 100 points. We so often see teams bottling it at the end of the season in a title race. Well, they've gone and won all of their last 4 or 5. You can't argue with it. So Port Vale look like they're going down, as Sheffield Wednesday have now got the lead. But most importantly, we are winning 2-0, and we are really enjoying our final game in League One. We can rest people a bit later on if need be. But for now, I want to get the job done. Can we get one more goal? Sheffield Wednesday 2 up. We're sending Nathan Jones down. As Stephen Parks has a throw on the left for Fernandez. Morehouse has time. Chance to shoot. Oh, he does like to score screamers, doesn't he? We've seen it before with him since he's been here. But he's not really scored a spectacular one this year. Though he has popped up with a couple of important ones. As Ferry puts the cross in towards Jaden Dans. It's a good save from Vitek. Looks a little susceptible to crosses, but his shot stopping is very good. And we've now got a corner as the hour mark ticks over. We will make changes in a minute. Parker up at the back post. It's headed away. Back into Fernandez. Back to Morehouse. He finds Hilton. Tons of space. And he probably should have done better. Shot was almost straight down the middle. Pretty comfortable for Vitek. Either corner, it would have been 3. As Ferry's got the corner on the right this time. Keeper comes and claims. It's been a very good performance so far. With 25 to go, we will make some changes because Dan's is really struggling physically. The Cornick will come on up front. Morehouse is having a tough time. Alistair Smith will get a run out there. I'm going to bring McKinstry on the right of midfield just because Hilton struggled with injuries a lot the second half of this season and I don't want to risk him getting overloaded. Elkan Baggett will come on for Parker just to get his farewell. And Joe Tomlinson, much the same. He will replace Stephen Parks on the left of the fence. But a really good performance, a comfortable lead. And at the moment, the perfect finish to what has been an exceptional season. Yes, we've not got the pressure of fighting for a title today. But look at the context here. We are 22 points clear of 4th place. I know Rotherham did all right. And the points totals have been low elsewhere. But that is some effort coming up from League 2. The Scanlon gets it in the middle to Port Vale. Have we rested too many players too early? Plant gets down the left. He'll try and get the goal here. Are we going to save Port Vale yet? Back to Shorrock and Plant again. Into the box to Scanlon. Great block from Sean Rose. He saved the day there. I think his namesake goal was beaten. He managed to get a crucial toe end on it. He's out for a corner kick though and the danger isn't over. Scanlon in. Matheson hoofs away. Bit worried he was man marking in there. The Scanlon goes back to Bernard. Across the box it's offside. We get away with another one. At 15 to go. We've just fallen asleep a little bit here. And we are down the other end straight away with Tomlinson. Cross cleared away by Port Vale. And the header's won, but it falls for Sean Rose. He picks it up for Cornick. Great through ball. And Harry Cornick shot his saves. That could have been a lovely finish to the day, but it's not to be. We've got a corner kick with Ferry. Baggett's in there. Could he pop up with a goal? Vitek goes up with him. And the keeper claims it well. 10 minutes remaining. A dominant performance. And in the end, Port Vale going down. Sheffield Wednesday saved and they owe us one. We're going to the Championship and we're going to plan for next season with a lot of these players not in the mindset, unfortunately. But we've got to enjoy them while they're still here. Can we keep the clean sheet? Thanks to the woodwork we do. Plant into the box. Gets in. McKinstry does really well. And a big punt downfield. Keeps it 2-0. A win and a clean sheet to finish the season. A party at Roots Hall. The final game at this old stadium. We will be moving into our new ground in a matter of months. and it will see Championship football for the first time in nearly 2 decades. What an effort that is. We are brilliant. Let's have a look at the inbox because Port Vale have fallen into League Two. We get £10,000 for finishing second. We'll be back in a minute with our season review items and, of course, to plan ahead for the summer. Well, time for our end of season messages and, of course, the big update to the squad planner too as we prepare for Championship football. Now, we've been fairly fortunate in the last couple of promotions that while we've had to do a bit of work on squad depth and in the background getting good loans in, etc., what we have had throughout that time is a core of 7 or 8 or 9 good recruits that we've been able to take up a level with us, whether it's Morehouse, who's done all of them, Kingdon, who came up and then got sold on for big money, and even the likes of Daniel Rose and Will Ferry and that, who have made the step from League 2 to League 1 quite comfortably. There were some signs that for a few of them, like Ferry and Hilton, that perhaps this step was going to be the limit for them. They were average rather than standouts as they were in League 2. And now as we go to the Championship, I feel this is going to have to be more of a revolution rather than just an evolution to the squad. So we've managed to get more of a family fan base in. We've got a bigger social media presence. And of course, with a new stadium coming, we're going to have a good time there. The good thing is the fans only want us to attempt to avoid relegation next year. I'm going to hope that the board expectation is the same or we're in pretty big trouble. It is. So I think for the first time, there's an acknowledgement that this is a big step up because previous years, the media, when we went up to League 2, they had us as one of the favourites. When we went up to League 1 and we signed the players we did, they had us finishing in the top half. The board also had us comfortably surviving both times. This time it's a bit different. So I think staying up is the main aim next year. We've still got to play attacking and entertaining football, which is going to be interesting to see at that level. But if we look at the squad dynamics update, we've got good team leaders involved, and this becomes a key for me. Even if Sonny Hilton doesn't make the step up, if Ferry's not brilliant at Championship level, for next season at least, we've got to keep a few of them in the squad because we already know we're probably going to lose Matheson. We know that Tomlinson's leaving at the end of his deal. We're probably going to lose the likes of Parker and Kwanzaa after their loans, and Jaden Dans is still a bit uncertain. So we've got to be quite careful with how many we let go, because this senior squad hierarchy and keeping that senior bunch of players largely together has been a huge part of our success and keeping these all very green and very happy. So if we have a look at the club vision, we're going to accept that. I've got no problem with attempting to avoid relegation. And I do genuinely believe for the first time that it will actually be a relegation scrap next year. While I of course didn't expect to get promoted in style this year, I'd be lying if I said I expected to go down. So I think next season will be the first one where we've really got a battle on our hands. A bit like the first half of the first season with that points deduction. We're going to discuss the plans with the lads. We're going to say we've got to be very careful about this, haven't we? Because it's very easy to pick the wrong one. Let's see what they say. Going to give you all a chance to fight as hard as possible against relegation. We'll be strengthening the squads to help with our chances of staying up. Yeah, so we got the right one this time. We're happy with that. Go and enjoy your holidays, everyone. And sadly, a few of you won't be coming back from it to this football club. But we can't give loyalty here. We've got to be pretty careful. Look at this for an example. The new season team report is one of the weakest in the Championship. There's still plenty of room in the wage budget. It's a mediocre squad compared to the rest of the league. We've not got great attributes in certain areas, and there's not a lot of depth in the squad. So I think we're going to have to make some improvements. When you consider the best players in that team report, the best rated is Fernandez, who's at the end of his loan. The second and third best are Kwanzaa and Parker, who are at the end of their loans. The fourth best is King, who's not even featured really for us. And then the best right back, Ingram, has barely played a game. There's lots of big problems here, and we're definitely going to need a lot of upgrades. So definitely work to be done on that front. Quite a few injuries this year, actually, which we've done quite well to deal with. No one's had huge injuries, really, probably aside from the Williams one at the end. We've had a lot of players who have picked up 3 or 4 annoying ones and missed that sort of 20% of the season. So, frustration, it's got to be said. There's a few players out on loan that you'll probably not even remember are on the books now, so we'll have to deal with them as well. But let's go and get through to the squad planner and have a look at what we've got left, because if we go to the current season, looking ahead at what we've got in the Championship, we're weak. And I think we know where the biggest problems are. We've probably got a good League One attacker midfield, and most of them are permanent players who have contributed for us. So we've got Presley and Dans, we've got Ferry and Hilton, we've got Morehouse and Smith at the worst. Defensively, we've relied on loans for a couple of years, probably since Kingdom was sold, and we've not really been able to step up since. So, bar Parks and Rose as two of the back five, the rest of it is a bit tricky to come by. Add to that it's the position we're losing most of our squad depth to end of contracts, like Tomlinson, centre-half Baggett as well. Does make it a little bit harder to get depth, and we're going to have to improve that. We have got a couple of players coming back that we'll look at in a minute because they may be able to contribute, and maybe it's a decision we have to make this summer. Do we go for a very strong 11 and maybe less squad depth than vice versa? Because the cup runs are no longer as important financially. We've not got the EFL trophy to worry about. So in theory, we should have a few less games, but it is a risk if we then get injuries. But it's sort of the way I'm leaning towards. Maybe going for 4 or 5 less senior players, but getting in a couple of good quality ones. Let's have a look at this on the squad page because that's where I find it easier. And we have to start here with one big bit of news, because if we look at the contractual side, you can see one record wage offer has been made. And although I've had to put a few sort of compromises in there, Jayden Danns may well sign a new deal. I feel that given the fact that contract doesn't include a promotion wage rise, which Aaron Presley's does, he's going to go up to about £5,000 a week soon. And Jayden Danns being on 6, I don't feel is too much. It gives an extra year to his deal and gets him a big sale perhaps in the January after. So he's someone we're going to gamble on. It does include a relegation release clause of $1 million. So if we go back down after next year, we're going to lose him for a smaller fee. But I'm hoping that if we're in that position and he scored a few goals, we might just sell him in January instead. It also includes quite a big bonus if he scores 20 and 25 next year. In the Championship, if he does that, he'll probably have earned it by securing our safety. The big news, though, when it comes to this team, is what happens with the loan players, because we know we've got this core of sort of 8 players tied down. I look at Morehouse, Parks, Presley, Hilton, Daniel Rose, Will Ferry, and even Alistair Smith now to an extent. They're tied down for a couple of years, and hopefully Danns will join that. But a few others are on the cusp. You see Matheson and Cornick who want to go because they can't get new deals. You also see the likes of Blackmore and Coleman who are just emergency keepers. But the big problem we've got is that we've relied heavily on adding squad depth on loan in the second half of seasons, and we're not able to do that in the Championship so easily. Our parent club, Southampton, I better check they haven't come down actually, because if they have, we're in trouble. They haven't. So it does come down to whether we can keep some of these or replace them. Of course, we do want to add permanent additions where possible, but we know the wage demands are going to increase massively here. And I'm a man who likes to manage realistically, that likes to focus the priorities on other areas financially and build the club the sustainable way, probably as a result of my Luton Town experiences as a real-life fan. But as a result, this is sort of my plan for the summer. Diogo Fernandez at Benfica, I would love to extend the loan of. The option is there at the minute, and they're suggesting that we can't. But he's not on the biggest wage in the world, so even if we can offer to pay him that 2.1 grand a week, with him, Danns and Presley, we've then got 3 brilliant strikers. Fernandez can play out wide when we play the one up front as well, which we're probably going to have to do a bit more next year to pack out the midfield and the wide areas. And I just hope that that would then be enough. If we then said that we'll have an optional future fee, in which seems to be the only way loan deals get done this year, but if we say that as £5 million, then hopefully they would accept it. Important player, striker, advance forward, that's all fine. So hopefully he'll be someone we can keep on. The other two that are basically going to decide our season are Kwanzaa and Parker. Now, I've mentioned this before earlier in the year. Both of them are out of contract at their senior clubs. Now, Parker is on 7 grand a week. We asked the agent how much it would cost to get him. He said between 11 and 15,000 a week. He's great, but I'm not prepared to do that. So unless his demands reduce, we're not going to get him. He's also wanted by a number of English and Scottish clubs. Both of them have got probably bigger reputations, so that's going to make it quite difficult. The other one, though, is Jarell Kwanzaa, and he's on a smaller contract at Liverpool. He's a couple of years older. He's also out of contract, and he's probably the better of the two, particularly physically when it comes to corner threats and that for next season. But the issue we've got with him, again, is Hibernian wanting him, and they can offer a contract before us. We've got to wait till the 31st of May. So if we can get him, he'll probably be a very big difference maker for us next year. And he will also get a better rest because of the international breaks, being a Scottish international. I'm hoping that he will come in. He's someone with an actual bit of championship experience, played 2 full seasons at that level and done okay. And he's been a really good player for us. So if we can get that one done, I'd feel a bit more positive. But both of them, we're relying on a better club not coming in and offering a ridiculous amount of money that we can't afford. The final one that I would be interested in keeping is Stuart McKinstry. He's not set the world alight, but he's been good for us. And again, he's got a longer contract at Southampton, but it's on massive, massive money. Now, at the moment, he's not willing to discuss terms. They want to test him in a different environment. We've all seen that message 100 times. I'm hopeful that when he goes back in the summer, that Southampton will have him or at least 1 or 2 players that we can possibly get again. I know we brought in Magoma and Craven for depth, which they contributed a bit, but it didn't really work. So maybe they'll just have one bit of magic that they can send us. And being a Premier League side against a Championship side now, maybe we can get the players that are near their first team squad rather than just relying on the youth team. So that is my plan. That is what I aim to do with the players we've got at the minute. Of course, with Baggott going and no certainty around Parker and Kwanzaa, the first priority this summer is sorting out that defence. We need 2 centre-halves. We need a right-back. We're probably going to try and sell Bubba Fernandes. He's just been injured and unfit for most of the year. We know we're losing a lot of quality back there. We know we're losing a lot of depth. And while we are going to lose players in other areas as well, if we get to the start of the season and we haven't signed players there, we can still compete unless we've got big injuries. Whereas in other positions, we're absolutely screwed. I've got to make a decision on Ethan Ingram, but he's not really trained well or improved, which is why I dropped him out of the team. He is now ironically starting to train well, but is that just because he wants a contract? And if we look at him, he's not good enough for the Championship, is he? So this is quite a tricky summer for me because I don't normally like to be the type of person who completely revolutionises a squad. I know we got opportunities in the last summer, which meant I did a bit more work than I'd like, but we still had that core in our first 11. And I don't think that's going to happen this year. So that's going to be a really interesting side for me, having to build a new team, risk the dynamics a little, and maybe start a season with 4 or 5 new signings in a team when normally I wouldn't like to do so. So hopefully Parker and Kwanzaa can save me from that by agreeing to join the club on the 1st of June, but we're not going to know the answer to that for a little while yet. A quick note though to the most important bit of building a club up, and that is what you do off the pitch. Of course, a reminder, we are moving into the new stadium this summer. We are going in with good facilities that we've improved a couple of times, and while the stadium is slightly smaller, it's got big expansion capacity. It's also our owned one, and the big important news is we've got a good stadium sponsorship deal, so there should be a lot of positives to come from it. Given the fact we've had an awful youth intake, I'm not expecting much through the youth development in the next few years, so a bit like we've done with Morehouse, Kingdon, Dans, etc. It's going to be about bringing in players a bit cheaper, a bit younger, and maybe selling them on for a profit, or at least letting them develop at the club with football and with good training facilities. The other side, of course, which I always talk about is staffing, and the first thing I did when we got promoted was expand our team. So you can see now we've got a vacancy for a set piece coach and a normal coach, as well as an extra scouting position that we've just recruited and a recruitment analyst too. So one of the things that we're definitely going to be doing and focusing a lot on this summer is getting the best possible coaching team for the level, as that's where we can make up some of our deficits. We've got a goalkeeping coach on a month-to-month who will be gone. We've got a few new additions who will keep joining in as well. And if we have a look, for example, at Gary Piggott, a Scottish scout we've just brought in, taps in a bit more knowledge from another country nearby and players that we might be able to attract now that we are a Championship team. You can see he's got really good judgment. So that's the sort of person we're looking for. People who will keep improving this squad both on and off the pitch. The backroom squad is as important as the squad that goes out onto the pitch. And I'm going to keep that policy going, especially as we expand the team with technical directors, loan managers, etc, etc. You can see our technical director's pretty good. So that at the moment is Southend United in a nutshell. We've also got loan players coming back at the end of the year, 1 or 2 of whom may be able to compete next season. Cameron Ishmael probably the standout of the lot, and 1 or 2 others like Nico Lawrence you saw in the squad planner, who if we need to, we can keep as backups for now. Mully another one in that category as well. So it's not all doom and gloom, but defensively, we're going to need some pretty big improvements. I hope you're looking forward to finding out if we can get them, as next time out in a couple of days' time, we will be back for our Championship transfer window special. We'll have our debut. Hopefully it's a home game first so we can see the new stadium as well. But what an occasion, what an unexpected moment as we take Southend United back to the Championship, and now it's about trying to make history. If you're looking forward to that, and you did enjoy this finish to the season, which saw us in second place in League One, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know if you agree with my assessment of the squad. Is there anywhere else you feel we need to improve massively? Or should I give most of these boys a chance and maybe even stick with more of the squad than I'm planning to? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. We'll see which one of the 4 big boys join us in a championship as well. If you want to stay up to date and find out and see what we do this summer at Southend United, then please do subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back tomorrow with our grand finale to the head coach season. It's been an eventful one there. The playlist is in the eye above if you've missed it. There's also links to the Twitch channel, the football podcast, and so much more. But for now, thank you for joining along for another season. Check out HelloFresh UK, our partner, in the description below for 60% off your first box. And we will be back here in 2 days' time for what I hope will be our biggest transfer special yet with Southend United.